Hi students, this is Miss Tomorrow and we're going to start with circles. So this is review from last year and a little bit from geometry. So if you look, it says graph the circle x minus 3 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 49. Alright, so the center is the opposite of what's in the parentheses, so it's going to be 3 and negative 2. And the radius is the square root of the last number. So the square root of 49 is 7. So we're going to go over 3 down 2 for the center. And then we're going to go over 7, up 7, over 7, down 7. Okay, so I have my points there. And there's my circle. Not the best circle, but you get the idea. All right, so let's take a look. The standard equation of a circle. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. And remember, hk is the center, and the radius obviously is the point from the center to the circle. Okay, so in a couple examples, we're going to write equations of circles. So we're going to write an equation of a circle if the center is 5, negative 1, and the radius is 7. So again, we're going to do the opposite, x minus 5 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals, and then 7 squared is 49. So that was a simple one. All right, example 2 is a little trickier. It says write the standard equation of a circle with a center of 1, negative 3. So I'm going to start that. X minus 1 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals, and the only other information I have is that it passes through the point 2, 2. So I need to find the radius. Now, you could do the distance formula, but I'm not a really big fan of it. So I'm going to plug in 2 for x and 2 for y to find out what the radius squared is. So I would have 2 minus 1 squared plus 2 plus 3 squared equals the radius squared. So if I plug that in the calculator, I get 26. So that's what the radius squared is. That means my equation, I have to rewrite it with the 26 in there, will be x minus 1 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 26. So that's my final answer. So I think that's the easiest way to do that. Okay, let's look at the third example. Write the standard equation of a circle with 2 diameter points, 4, 3, and negative 2, 3. So I need to find the center, and I'm going to draw a little bit of a sketch because I already know that 4, 3, and negative 2, 3 are on the same line. So what's in the middle of 4, 3, and negative 2, 3? 1, 3. So the center is going to be 1, 3, because that's in the middle. Or again, you could do the midpoint formula, x plus x divided by 2, y plus y divided by 2. And that's from geometry. Okay, so what do I have? I have x minus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals the radius squared. And then I'm going to pick a point. I can pick either point. I'm going to pick the point 4, 3. So 4 minus 1 squared plus 3 minus 3 squared equals r squared. Actually, I don't know why. You could just count this. If the center's at 1, 3 and this point's at 4, 3, it's 3 away, huh? So that's actually even easier. So, or if you plug that in, obviously, you get 9. So if it's not that simple, you can do it this way. Okay, so that's my final answer. So that's just a little review about circles. Next, we're going to talk about completing the square, which we did last year. So, step 1, here's my example, says move the constant term to the other side. So that means the 2. So I'm going to add the 2 to the other side. Step 2, divide by the number in front of the x squared if it has a number in front. So we're going to divide everything by 2. So I have x squared minus 2x, leave a space, equals 1, and leave another space. Okay, step 3, take half of b, square it, and add it to both sides. So I always do this off to the side. b is negative 2, divide by 2 and square it. I get negative 1 squared, which is 1. So that's the number I'm going to add in the my little space here. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And then we're going to actually add. So over here, I have 2. Okay, over here, we got a factor. So numbers that multiply to 1 that add up to negative 2. I used to do it this way to begin with. And then you always know it's going to be a perfect square. So that's why it's called completing the square. So it's going to be x minus 1 squared. Okay, take the square root of both sides. And remember, when we take the square root of both sides, what do we put in front of the radical? A plus and minus. So the squared and the radical cancel. So I have x minus 1 equals plus and minus radical 2. And then we're going to obviously finish it. Solve for x, add the 1. So x equals positive 1 plus and minus radical 2. All right, so that's completing the square just in general. Okay, we're going to do this with a circle. So there is a you try question, but I'm not going to have you guys try it yet because we're going to do one together with a circle. So you can go back to that. Okay, so here's the example here. If I have a circle, we want the x's and the y's next to each other. And then we're going to move the number to the other side, just like we did before. So I move the 11, okay? Then we got to take half of b and square it. So for the x number, if I take 2 and divide by 2 and square it, I get a 1, and I add that to both sides. In my 4, I take half of it and square it, I get a 4, and I add that to both sides. So then all the way on the right side, I get 16. On the left side, I factor, and I'm done, and that's the circle. So I'm going to kind of cross this one off. And the one that says you try, I'm going to do that one, and you're going to go back and do the other one. So the first thing I want to do is put them in order. So I got the x's next to each other, and then the y's next to each other. And make sure the number is on the other side. Okay, so I need to do numbers here and here, and then I'm going to add them to the other side. So take half of b, negative 4 divided by 2, and square it. Is going to be 4. So I'm going to add the 4 and add the 4. I'm going to do the same thing with the 6. 6 divided by 2 and square it is 9. So I'm going to add the 9 and add the 9. Okay, so on the right side, when I add those together, 12 plus 4 plus 9, 25. And then I'm going to look at my x's and my y's and factor. So I'm going to get x minus 2 squared, because negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Negative 2 plus negative 2 is negative 4. And then my y's, numbers that multiply to 9 but add up to 6, 3. So it's going to be y plus 3 squared. So my center would be 2, negative 3, and my radius would be 5. So go back, and you're going to try that question.